All right, we are at the 2010 PAC KOTESOL International Conference, joined by the president of KOTESOL, Bob Capriles. Thanks very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
So how's your conference going so far?
Seems to be going very well. A lot of favorable comments from attendees. It seems that the organizational partners, the commercial people, are very pleased with it also. We've had a huge turnout, about 1,500 people.
So what does the president of KOTESOL do during the conference? What are your presidential duties?
Primarily to welcome everybody to the conference and then kind of rub elbows with the various dignitaries and guests that are here. And of course this year we're doing the PAC 2010, which is the Pacific Area Consortium of English Teachers, and there's 5 other countries being represented: Japan, Thailand, Taiwan,
Philippines?
A couple others are just standing right at the moment. But,
Philippines and Far East Russia?
Yes, Russia is here. Vladivostok, of all places, in Russia. But yes, and they have a meeting. I had to attend that this morning. And there are dinners and cocktail parties and other things that go on. You know, I'm more like a politician than anything else. I don't really get a chance to attend any of the real events in the conference, because anytime there's a problem, somebody seems to be looking for me.
How long have you been in Korea and involved in KOTESOL?
I've been in Korea. It'll be 11 years next month. I've been in KOTESOL 7 years.
7 years.
I got roped in by a friend of mine that worked at a university with me, and he kept dragging me to KOTESOL meetings in Cheongju and Daejeon. And ultimately, I joined. And the moment I joined, I got roped onto the executive committee. 2 months later, I was first vice president, and I kept saying to myself, what am I doing?
What made you want to get roped into being president?
National president?
Yeah.
I didn't. I really did not. Last year, they had drafted an amendment to the Constitution that was kind of unusual several years ago. And the way it was written, only 7 people out of the then 700 members of KOTESOL were eligible to be president this year. And a friend of mine said, "You're one of the 7." And I said, "No, I'm not going to do that. I'm tired." And he says, "No, you have to do it." I said, "No." Well, after 2 months, I said, "All right, I'll do it if you'll run for first vice president." I ran. Unfortunately, I became president.
Oops.
Yeah.
And you are halfway through a 2-year term.
That's correct.
As you look back on the past year, what has been surprising, challenging, and the highlights of your time so far?
Ooh, surprising was that people were more open to some of the changes we wanted to do than I thought they would be. Also, I was a little disappointed in the fact that many of the things that we wanted to do and said we would do, we couldn't do right away, getting the journal printed. But we hope to have that done by the end of the year. A new website, technical glitches were found over a period of months trying to do it. Hopefully next month that'll be done. We have a draft of a new constitution and bylaws, and hopefully again by December we'll have that approved and sent to the membership. One of the major accomplishments has been taking care of the financial business of the organization. In the past, they didn't use professional software, accounting software for the finances, and the organization has become so large over the last 18 years that they need specialized software and all. And we've now got it. We've got an accountant that has helped us, and our treasurer works very hard, and everybody's happy with the new procedures in that regard. We have a policies and procedures manual for the National Council that was drafted this year and approved, and everybody seems to be very happy with that.
And as you head into your final, or the next year of your term, what are your priorities? What challenges do you think you'll be facing?
Well,
ahead?
There's a number of things. Like I said, the major one, we want the new Constitution and bylaws approved by the membership. We want to get the new website up and working, which will be much better than it has been in the past. We want to get the journal published and continue to be published every year so we can get accreditation from the Ministry of Education. We are starting a new chapter in Sungil, and we're looking for that chapter to grow. And we want to see our membership expand more than it has. This past year, we've picked up an additional 100 members nationally.
Now, I have to ask you about elections. There was a time in Kotisol when elections were kind of boring affairs. Just like, okay, yeah, those people, and then they're in. Has not been the case so much the last couple of years. I know your particular election was a heated or a contested one. And this year we've got 2 tables set up. And what are your thoughts on, is this having more candidates and a little bit of contentiousness, is this a good thing for Kotisol or not? That's part one. I'll let you answer that.
Actually, on the one hand, I say I don't like the contention. But on the other hand, I think it's good because the membership is becoming more and more involved. Last year's election and this year are the 2 largest elections they've ever had in their 18-year history. In the past, if you had 120, 130 people vote, that was a large number. The number I heard Friday night was, and this was just online, not counting the paper ballots they're doing now, over 260 have voted. So more people are getting involved in the process. This is the first, well, actually the second year where most positions have been contested. Only 2 are uncontested. And that's healthy for an organization. Whether you agree with one side or the other, it doesn't matter. What's important is that people are voicing their opinions. People are getting involved. They're using Facebook. They're using the internet. They're using brochures. I think I was the first candidate to print a brochure. That kind of ruffled some feathers. They said, we've never done that before. But I said, look, it's an election. Got to get people.
And there's a lot of new things. Like there's kind of parties or groups of candidates that are working together. How would you characterize the different platforms or priorities?
I think one faction is young and new. They're by new I mean new to Kotisol, relatively new for the most part, and none of them have really been involved on the national level. The other faction is a group of people. They're young and old. It's a mixture. They've been involved in national and various levels and on their chapter levels a lot more. One group has 2 Koreans running for office. The other group, it's all Western. So pros and cons both ways. It's good.
And in a few hours, we're going to find out the election results.
That's correct.
Quite possibly, there'll be mixed results. Some people from one group, some people from another. Maybe not. Even so, there will still be people who cared a lot about Kotisol. And everyone, who's running, is volunteering for a lot of suffering, a lot of time and
Amen.
and challenge. As president of the organization, how do you avoid too much dissension or demotivation or that kind? How do you heal contentious wounds?
Sometimes it's very difficult because I get emotional, and sometimes I have an opinion on the issues. But as a president, I'm more like a ringleader in a circus with the whip and the chair. One group is lions, the other group is tigers. And sometimes it's hard to keep the factions apart, but for the most part, whether you're pro or con my administration on the National Council, both groups are involved, and we work together for the good of Kotisol. And that's the important thing. And if it gets too verbal or too heated, sometimes I'll say, hey, folks, let's stop. Look what the big goal is and the main goal. Let's get back to that and forget personalities and that.
All right.
That usually works.
And any final words for people who maybe haven't been to a Kotisol conference, aren't involved? Any pitch you'd like to make for them?
Well, if they've never been to a Kotisol conference, they're missing an experience that most people don't get to see here in Korea. We're the largest English-speaking organization for English teachers. We have the largest conference in Korea, and it's a great learning experience. And every conference I've ever gone to, if I've learned one thing, and only one thing, I feel it's been successful. And people are telling me that have never come to Kotisol conferences that this is wonderful. They've met new people, they've learned things, and the presenters are excellent, and they're from all over the world.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about or
Join
say?
Kotisol.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Best of luck.
Thank you.